All right, and welcome to our very first episode of The Drop Room. My name is Pushing P, and my cast members are...
Hey guys, this is Tank.
What's up, guys? It's Suplex.
Hey guys, it's Savage.
We have a great episode for you guys today, bringing you guys a quick recap of Week 3 of the NFL, and then we'll get into the nitty-gritty of these upcoming games, all while we watch alongside tonight's game of Lions versus Packers on Thursday Night Football. Suplex, why don't you kick things off?
Yeah, so we had some big upsets last week. Some I don't think any of us were really expecting. We'll start off in Minnesota, where we had not an upset, but the Chargers took down the Vikings 28-24. In Kansas City, we had the Chiefs absolutely poured on the Chicago Bears. And in Arizona, we had the biggest upset of the week, where the Cardinals took down the Cowboys 28-16. So we can start there. Dak Prescott really struggled in that game. Savage, I'll let you start. Can Dak Prescott lead the Cowboys to the Super Bowl?
I think we all know the answer to that. He's probably the main reason for the Cowboys' failures over the past couple of years. Name another quarterback who's had, at one point, the best offensive line in the league and still underperformed, and that offense has underachieved year after year. Past couple of years, they've had one of the best defenses in the league. Defense keeps them in the games, but it looks like when the offense needs to play catch-up, Dak continually doesn't disappoint with his interceptions. So I think he is the main issue with the Dallas Cowboys, and he is not a Super Bowl quarterback. He had a chance last year to prove that by going into the Niners' house, taking them down, but he proved all of us right by not even being competitive in that game.
I mean, yeah. Listen, Savage. As much as I generally agree with you, I think that this year, if it doesn't work out, I wouldn't be somebody who would blame Dak Prescott. And, if this defense, this so-called number one defense, just gave up 28 points to Josh Dobbs, I think that's something that needs to be looked at. And another thing is, you have to look at who have been Dak Prescott's coaches. He got, he got somebody who was 8-8 every single season. And then he got Mike McCarthy. Mike McCarthy cannot put Dak Prescott in situations that would make him in winning moments as winning plays. Like, look at what Kyle Shanahan made Jimmy G look like. If somebody like that can be having the seventh highest percentage of completions in the NFL, that needs to be looked at as, hey, if this coach knows my guy isn't Patrick Mahomes, my guy isn't Joe Burrow, my guy won't give up that many yards, I think that it needs to be looked at, what kind of positions are you putting your quarterback in to succeed? And this past week's loss, he went 1 for 1, 249 yards, 25 of 40. Not great. But that is the expectation with Dak Prescott. So instead of trying to put him in positions where you're always going to expect situations like that, put him in something else. Put him in situations to succeed, and don't have your defense giving up 28 points to the Cardinals.
I think the main thing there, the 28 points given up to the Cardinals, maybe we thought the Cardinals were going to be a lot worse than what they've showed so far. They've put up 28 points on the Giants. Week 1 against an average defense against the Commanders. They held the lead in that game. They put up 28 points last week against the Cowboys, but I think it's fair to expect that, the Cowboys offense will put up points. And I'm just going to take it back to week 2. What did Danny Dimes have to work with against that same Arizona Cardinals defense? He put up 31 points with maybe wide receiver 4s. No offensive linemen.
Dallas has. Yep.
Those guys are practice squad players everywhere else.
Yeah, exactly. So that's where I have no sympathy for Dak Prescott. You have a bad coach, but you're the one making the throws. That throw at the end of the game looked like he was done. I'm not playing. Take the ball, intercept my ball, and go home.
I will say that in week 2, when the Giants came back for their historic win, I think that it's important to recognize that Dable took over. Dable took over on play calling. And, with Dable taking over on play calling and he's able to put Daniel Jones in positions to succeed, that's what Mike McCarthy should be doing.
Yeah, so, I watched the whole game. Unfortunately, didn't really, wasn't really happy with the outcome. But watching the whole game and watching the game the week before, you could see where the entire team really struggles, and that's the red zone. And they cannot get the ball in. They can't. CeeDee Lamb has no touchdowns this whole season. Brandon Cooks, nothing.
Hey, are they missing Ezekiel
Michael
Elliott?
Gallup, they could be.
I think it's Amari Cooper more than it's Zeke.
Yeah. I think in the second half, I agree with you there, Suplex. They got to the red zone on their opening drive of the second half, which was that the field goal, and then their next possession, they got to the red zone again, which was a turnover on downs, right? They couldn't
turnover on downs. Yep.
They
couldn't get the touchdown. Yep.
The third possession, they got to the red zone again. So it wasn't a matter of going up and down the field. It's a matter of finishing, and that's what the Cowboys can't do year after year. Finish.
Yeah, even going back last year against the Niners in the playoffs, they couldn't get touchdowns. That seems to be their biggest problem.
Well, I
don't know if it's McCarthy,
but that's what I'm saying, right?
I think Dak definitely deserves Dak definitely deserves his blame. You were trying to act like it's the coaching, it's not Dak. That's absolutely not the case, even a little bit. It's 100%. It's Dak Prescott. He's not the guy, and he's had 7 years to prove something, and he hasn't been able to. So.
Listen, outside of your star-studded QBs in the league, there's nobody else that the Cowboys could even rely on to get them to the promised land. You don't have Patrick Mahomes. You don't have Joe Burrow. You know what you have. You have a guy who will throw a pick and make a bad decision here and there. So why are you putting him in positions? Think about it. If they can get down the field, those are the calls that Mike McCarthy is calling on offense to get him down the field because he knows what to do. Suddenly, Mike McCarthy is calling different plays.
The guy's throwing into 3 defenders. 3 defenders he threw that one into. That one is just horrible. You can't.
I think it's both. I don't think it's one or the other. I think it's both.
I'll take it back a couple of years. Before the Philadelphia Eagles having the best line in the league year after year,
it was the Cowboys.
The Dallas Cowboys.
Yeah.
The Dallas Cowboys had the best offensive line for maybe 4 or 5 years, Suplex, you think?
At least.
In a row.
Yep.
They had number one pick after number one pick, gems after gems on that line. They had weapons. They've always had a star receiver, whether it was Dez Bryant, Amari Cooper, CeeDee Lamb. They always had the tight end, Jason Witten. Now they have a couple. They've always had the running backs too. So they've never been short of weapons, and their defense has been average to great at times, right? So they've had plus points at all 3 facets of the game. But what's their shortcoming every time? Not finishing. When the game's on the line, whether it's Tony Romo, whether it's Dak Prescott, they couldn't finish games. And it seems like just a Cowboy way. Cowboy way. Not a quarterback issue, but I'm going to compare it back to the Eagles again. You put a great offensive line in front of Jalen Hurts. This year, they don't have a defense comparable to the Cowboys, I would say. The Eagles' defense has taken a step back. But what does Jalen Hurts do? Make less mistakes and less stupid throws. Dak Prescott cannot control himself. You put Dak Prescott in front of that Eagle offensive line, he will not be as successful. Because he's had that in Dallas as well. At some point, you have to stop making the big mistakes in the big situations. So, I think he's the main problem. They need a quarterback. Romo was better than him. People loved Prescott over Romo. I think Romo was much better, and Romo probably never had this elite defense that Dak's had 2 years in a row now.
Well, I'll tell you what, Savage. You know who has no problem finishing right now? The Dolphins. If you guys saw that game last week, 70-20, unbelievable. What do you guys think about that? Are they for real, or is this just a fluke?
Best team in the AFC.
I agree. And that,
I would have to agree with both of them as well.
yeah.
Listen,
I didn't think we would all say this.
I'm very surprised because there's a lot of people here who love Patrick Mahomes on this podcast right now. But listen, you give up.
We know P. We see you.
We see you, P. You know, I know you ordered your Patrick Mahomes shirt because you're going to be going to see him in person soon. But let me say this. You know, I think that of everything that the Dolphins have shown is that as long as they make sure that their quarterback doesn't get a concussion, this team should be heading to the Super Bowl. That's what's holding them back from a Super Bowl is a Tua Tagovailoa concussion. I think that their defense is good, but I think their offense is just crazy. But I know that Savage said something to me this past weekend because I have the one and only Raheem Mostert on my fantasy team, on two of my fantasy teams actually. And Savage said, hey, you know, go along with this wave right now, but you got a player who is prone to these soft tissue injuries. And if players start going down with soft tissue injuries, they're fast. They're very, very fast. But these fast boys get hurt fast. So, you know, I think as long as they can stay healthy, I really don't see, maybe if they have to go to Arrowhead for the AFC Championship game, that will be the only thing I can see in their way from going to a Super Bowl.
Yeah, just the full health of this team is essential, starting with the quarterback. I mean, and you brought up the speed. Speed kills, but then it also kills you in the bad way as well in terms of games played. I mean, Raheem Mostert, great player, came on late in his career, but he's only played, I'm going to count it off for you guys, 11, 9, 16, 8, 1, 16. That's his number of games played in a season. So he's bound to go down.
Hey, man, I'm a knock on wood.
Concussion.
I'm a knock on wood for that one.
Yeah. Oh, boy.
Oh, Jared
Goff.
Goff.
Into a Russian quarterback, huh?
Oh, my God. Please rush in for a touchdown by yourself. I have you in fantasy.
Yeah.
It's about to get bad in Lambeau, it looks like.
Yeah. I feel sorry for...
That Lambeau fairy tale is about to end tonight, huh?
I feel sorry for anybody who might have bet on the Packers with the DraftKings boost of 7+ early win since they were the underdogs. I do apologize. They will not be going up by 7 points tonight. You heard it here, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Their defense is not looking impressive at all. This looks like very similar to the game where they sent Rodgers home.
Yeah.
And into a Jets uniform and a torn
back
Achilles.
Back to the Dolphins. I think there's no debate top three, and then the debate comes they're the best,
Yeah.
and I think they've proven through 3 weeks they're undisputably the best team on both sides of the ball, the offense especially. I mean, as long as Tua's healthy, I think this team can overcome anything. The way McDaniel has been calling plays, getting the ball in these guys' hands, and they didn't even have water last week.
Yeah.
And they dropped the most points we've ever seen in our lives. So,
and just to top that off, I think
touchdown, David
big
Montgomery.
time. Oh wow,
David Montgomery, the best running back in Detroit. It seems like if you took Jahmyr Gibbs, I feel sorry for you. His value will not be increasing this season.
I'm taking an L on that one. Yeah, and just getting back to what Suplex said there, definitely the best offense of the league. Defense looks good, and I think they can get better. They probably haven't even played to their potential.
Well, they're playing a real defense
disrespect
now.
Miami's getting this week.
Well, that's
They
because
are
is this
underdogs
going
in
to be the best defense they're going to play? They played the Patriots.
I guess the Patriots would be one, right?
No, they played the Patriots.
They played the Patriots. I think the Patriots defense is.
But then also think about that
on par with Buffalo, maybe.
But the Patriots were just inches away from converting on a fourth down. And if they converted on that, this could be a completely different story. We wouldn't even be having this conversation if for some way, somehow they tie that game, go to overtime and win, which is a slim chance, but it's a chance, right? Like, I understand beating the Patriots there is huge, but I think Josh Allen is going to be the real test where not only are you playing against a good defense, you're also playing against a top 5 quarterback in the league.
Yeah, well, I mean, he's had a lot of success in New England, and I mean, it is a hard place to win for anyone. We've seen over the past 20 years. And yeah, I guess you can say they were inches away, but they had completely dominated the game up to that point.
Yeah, agreed.
Regardless. So
I mean, I think
I don't
it's
think-
it's just the line's disrespectful this week. The Buffalo Bills couldn't move the ball on the New York Jets. Then they came back to beat the Raiders, and we've seen how lousy the Raiders are. Then they beat the Commanders in their house, and but still, I think the body of work of what the Dolphins have done a little more impressive. Best offense in the league, and then even if you go back to last year, you had Miami winning 21-19 in their house, losing to the Bills in Buffalo by 3. But then also, the Bills barely beat the Dolphins in that wild card game, and you know the Dolphins didn't even have their starting quarterback. It was a rookie quarterback going into their house, so it'll be an interesting test. I think the line doesn't make sense. We'll see what happens Sunday. I think Miami should win, but Vegas usually knows more than us, right? So a bunch of smart guys working out there, but we should see a lot of points. Should be a track meet, hopefully.
Yeah, I think they're basing it off. I think Buffalo has won 9 of the last 10 against Miami.
Yeah.
So it would have been hard for Vegas to go the other way, I think, on that one. So really quick before we switch gears, top 3 teams in the AFC.
Chiefs, Dolphins, and the Bengals.
In that, I'm assuming not in that order.
Well, Dolphins,
Right.
Chiefs, Bengals in that order.
Dolphins, Chiefs. No, sorry. Okay.
Yep.
Savage, go ahead.
You said Dolphins, Chiefs, and Bengals?
Yep.
Yeah, I think I'm going to go Dolphins, Chiefs. I don't know if I could say the Bengals. You know, I don't know how healthy this guy's going to be all season. I mean, if it was a healthy Joe Burrow, I'd say yes. But number 3, I may go the Cleveland Browns. They look good. That defense looks good.
No Nick Chubb.
If Deshaun Watson
They
can get his
do
head
look
straight,
good. Yep.
you know, that offense looked as good as they looked in the past 2 years.
And that's the best we've seen Deshaun Watson. Yeah.
Yeah, that looked like Houston Texans Deshaun Watson. Scramble drill. Aside from that one play where I don't know what he was doing. He threw it backwards to his running back to avoid a sack. That looked like the Houston Texans Deshaun Watson. Now, I don't know if we're going to get him every week, but that defense is legit. You guys know my hate. You could call it hate for the Josh Allen and the Buffalo Bills. I don't think they're a top 5 team in this league. So I wouldn't even put them top 3 in their division, in their conference. So I would put it that way. That Dolphins, Chiefs, and let's say Browns for now. And then it's just a bunch of hodgepodge after that. I don't know who.
That's where we're gonna have the disagreement. I have Dolphins, Chiefs, and Buffalo because I mean they've done their job and they've beat up on the bad teams the last 2 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
Defense is looking good. Josh Allen is looking good. Bounce back from week 1, and I would put Cleveland. Probably Cleveland is number 4 for me, but the Nick Chubb injury kind of
it's huge.
It's a huge loss, so that's why I can't put them over Buffalo right now. But it's a long season. Let's see what Kareem Hunt do. Let's see does. Let's see what Jerome Ford does for that team moving forward.
Where would you guys put the Eagles right now? They're also 3-0. Do you think that's due to their scale, or is that more a result of the easy schedule to start things off?
I think let's do the top 3 of the NFC then. Just to
Top 3
keep
now.
it even.
San Francisco,
I'll,
49ers, Niners.
Okay. 49ers, huh?
Oh, Laporta.
Oh, man, I have him in a league.
I'm going to go with San Francisco, Philadelphia, and just because the NFC is just so bad, Dallas is still number 3 for me.
Yeah, I agree. So I would go Niners are clear-cut number 1 right now, most complete team. Eagles at number 2. And number 3, it's ugly. By default, I'm gonna have to put the Dallas Cowboys.
Which is why I say the Niners. The Niners.
Yeah.
Which is even a better question. Who do you guys have at number 4 then?
The New York Giants.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not.
I think number 4, the Lions. I
Yeah.
If you look at
What
the
we're seeing right
standings,
now?
like,
Yep.
I would put the Lions there. Lions have a chance. Maybe they can overtake the Cowboys at number 3 at the end of the year. They have some growth. They have some young players, so they need to prove a little bit. But when
These
you
cats
see
are balling right
see
now.
Falcons, Packers, Seahawks, Lions, Commanders, Saints,
If the Falcons went
100%, I'm taking the Lions out of that group.
if the Falcons went all in on Lamar Jackson, they would be one of the best teams in the
boy,
league.
he's in
Oh
trouble.
my goodness, Jared Goff,
man.
what are you doing? But yeah, no, I agree. The Falcons have everything but the quarterback. So they have the weapons.
Exactly, yeah.
They have Kyle Pitts it's criminal what they do to him down there, but
And Drake London.
He has the talent, athleticism. Yeah, Drake London is mini Mike Evans. When he came out of college,
Drake London can
he
ball.
resembles Mike Evans' body type, his catch radius type. Everything that Mike Evans does, that's what Drake London can do. But and then Kyle Pitts is he had the chance to be a top 3 tight end in this league, but he went to a wrong situation. So if they had the right quarterback, I think they instantly slot in at 4. But right now, you have to give that spot to the Lions.
Agreed.
There's a lot of mediocrity. I mean, even in the AFC, NFC, after the top 3 teams, it's
The
like
AFC.
you can do
the
whatever
AFC
you
was-
want. Just
is not
hodgepodge of garbage.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, the AFC is not as strong as we thought.
Yeah, I mean, partly also injuries, right? So if Joe
Injuries,
Burrow was healthy, they'd be my number 3 team, like Tank said here. Aaron Rodgers is no longer there, so that would be 5 really strong teams, I would say, and throw Buffalo in there, right? So you'd have 6
And
studs, but two kind of have tapered off a little bit due to injuries. But we'll see where this goes. There's always
we
surprises.
still have
but
Baltimore.
yeah,
We still have, I guess you could throw Pittsburgh in there. Jacksonville struggling, but they were supposed to be good.
is that the shocker
The
of the year
Chargers
so
are-
far? Jacksonville. What's
I
going on
think
in
it has to be.
Jacksonville? Yeah, looked like a promising team, up and coming team. You have
They-
your
they
quarterback
didn't even
one,
look-
you have
they
your
looked-
franchise.
They looked pretty all right week 1. I don't know what happened in week 2. How do you
Yeah,
9
week-
points?
Week 1, they look good. Week 2, a team that, in the Chiefs, that they play tough every year. That wild card game, as far as I remember, maybe correct me if I'm wrong, but until the end, that game was close, right?
Yep.
The regular season game, also, Chiefs pulled away at the end, but it was close
At the
throughout.
end, yeah.
Yeah, Chiefs pulled away at the end, but this game, I don't know. They had no offensive. They're still trying to find an answer, but I don't understand. You added another weapon in Ridley. You're supposed to be growing. Seems like you're kind of regressing, going back. So I think they're probably the biggest shock of the year so far, 3 weeks in. And I'll say it, it's a must
hard to
win
disagree with that
in London this week.
And
We have our
London
first
this
London
week,
game.
absolutely.
It's a must win, and it's not going to be an easy game against that Atlanta team. They're very stingy.
Absolutely.
I
Man,
agree.
we got another field goal here. What's going on?
17-3 Lions.
Look at that.
Jordan Love behind that extremely banged up offensive line. They can't figure it
Yeah,
out right now.
that was my worry for this game. You have your, left guard and left tackle out of the game for the Packers this game. You don't have Jair Alexander. He usually keeps. I think you were saying this earlier in the day, Suplex, that he keeps
Amon-Ra.
Amon-Ra usually under check, right?
Yep. Yep.
He's out of the game. He didn't play today. He didn't suit up. The Packers are missing their linebacker 1, so a lot of injuries. So it was interesting to see a lot of people taking the Packers spread. So far, doesn't look too great.
Oh. Nowhere.
You want to move on to that conversation we were having, that interesting conversation about which quarterbacks should be traded, which quarterbacks we should be thinking about.
Oh man,
being on the move.
let me tell you something. I think that there's not that many good quarterbacks in this league, but then there's some quarterbacks that might be good but need to move on from their situations. And one of those quarterbacks is Kirk Cousins. You're 0-3 in Minnesota. You're on the last year of your deal. And, the team is looking for a rebuild basically around Justin Jefferson. You're not that guy. And I know one team, particularly in New York, that might need a quarterback and could be very willing to part with a 5th-round pick for an expiring deal. What do you guys think? Should they trade Kirk Cousins? Will they trade Kirk Cousins? And if the Jets are still all in on Zach Wilson and I guess Semyon now, oh my God, pick
interception.
Jordan
Oh, my
Love.
God.
Oh no! Don't turn this into a pick
Was
six.
that ball a little high?
to the
Oh
5.
boy.
Yeah,
Was that ball a little high?
He's so inaccurate today.
Yeah.
I mean, not
very
just today,
unlike
he's very
Jordan
inaccurate
Love.
in general.
Yeah.
He's
This is the old Jordan Love, not the first 2 games. Jordan Love, first 2 to 3 games.
This one's getting ugly.
Yeah.
This is getting ugly fast. I know Sideline
Another Thursday
Insight.
night football.
I know Sideline Insight couldn't be on today, but he did say that he was going to be betting on Packers +7 early wins. So I believe that's not converting tonight. But yeah, Lambeau Field is not what it is without the Aaron Rodgers. Back to our conversation, Savage and Suplex. Listen, I think Kirk Cousins is a name to look at. Should they try to wait out till trade deadline? At that point, it might be too late for the Jets to even go for him. Their season's probably going to be over by the time the trade deadline comes around if they don't have a replacement for Zach Wilson.
I think there's 2 factors here, right? So first is, when does Minnesota say enough's enough, our season's over? Now, just looking at the landscape, first of all, Minnesota plays in a division where you have the Packers. They're 2-1, but what they're doing right now, as we can see.
Oh my God, Montgomery for 2 touchdowns. It's like they don't even care that they drafted Jahmyr Gibbs as high as they did. Like, what is this?
Yeah.
Isn't this?
Why would you take a running back off?
Isn't this the play? Isn't this the play where you want to give it to your rookie so that his confidence can go up? Like, your boy's getting a touchdown on the first play. Like, isn't that what you're supposed to do?
I don't think they care right now.
I don't think they care.
You're a rookie guy on your team. Montgomery's playing really well.
Anybody could play against this
is,
Packers defense.
The only thing you could question is, why spend that 12th overall pick on a running back then?
Yeah.
In real life.
The same way Jordan Love was picked so high by Green Bay Packers during Aaron Rodgers' MVP year. Another questionable move. Yeah. So, these GMs, you got to ask these kind of questions, and you'll keep asking them every year.
Yeah. But just getting back to your question about the Kirk Cousins thing, there's 2 factors for me. One, when does Minnesota decide to sell? So they have the Panthers this week, very winnable game, especially if Bryce Young plays. I mean, Andy Dalton, say what you want about him. He's a veteran. He has the weapons around him. He used them, and they put up points last week, but ultimately they lost, right? So I think if Bryce Young is there, Minnesota should win. Then they have the Chiefs. That's probably a loss. So you're sitting at 1-4. Then you got the Bears. I think you're beating the Bears. You're at 2-4. Then you got the Niners at 2-5. But then you run off. You look at their schedule. The back end isn't that hard. You have the Packers, Falcons, Saints. You have the Broncos, Bears again, Raiders. You have the Lions twice. I mean,
all very winnable games.
They're on that same platform. I wouldn't say they're outmatched by any of those teams, right? Anything can happen. So that's just one part of it. When do they decide to sell and part ways? The second part is, there was just some news that came out today. Woody Johnson does not want to invest in any more resources for quarterbacks. They came out with something to the number that they have close to $80 million invested in the quarterback position. And management doesn't feel they want to invest any more. So what does that say? That basically tells you it's Zach Wilson, Tim Boyle, Trevor Siemian, or bust, which we know the answer to that. It's bust. We're getting a very high draft pick next year. So I'm excited about that.
You get to keep your first round pick.
Situations, we get to keep our first round pick. We get a very high draft pick, but to just think about what Minnesota will do. I don't think they give up on the season this early. Reason being, you have Justin Jefferson. You have probably the best weapon in the game. You have a solid running back in Madison. You added Cam Akers. Your defense is horrendous, but I think that offense will win you a couple of games. They've been a little unlucky here and there, right? So I'm not sure they'll sell. They might be one of those stubborn teams that will hold on towards that till the end.
I mean, I agree with you. I think that's the route management will take, but I think that holistically what management should look at, our defense is terrible. It's a bottom 10 defense in the league, easily. Outside of Justin Jefferson and Jordan Addison, we have nothing else on offense. Our offensive line is trash. If you can trade, you know what? I get it. The Jets don't want to give up They have Zach Wilson under contract, and I'm pretty sure the Vikings wouldn't even take him back. Nobody wants Zach Wilson. He's not playable in this league. He was at BYU, but psychologically he's been defeated. You just can't come back from that unless you have the perfect coach for that, which doesn't exist in Minnesota. So the other way to look at this is other teams that are in dire need that could win now with the right quarterback, like the Atlanta Falcons. You give the Atlanta Falcons Kirk Cousins, and that team could make the playoffs. That team is good enough to make the playoffs on both ends of the ball. So I think realistically, as Minnesota's management should look at it, yes, we will sell out seats. You know, he'll throw 300 yards. He'll get Justin Jefferson and Jordan Addison touchdowns. You know, they'll put up points, but they're going to give up way more points. He's going to get sacked and hit way more. Use the value you have. Get yourself some draft picks so that you can make your team even better next year. Tank for Caleb. You're winless now. Tank all the way. Get yourself some Caleb Williams.
Yeah, so I have two things to say about that. First, I don't think they will trade him. I think they, regardless of what they think, they should trade him. I don't think they will. And the reason I don't think they will is because they still want to sell tickets. They still want to make money off the season. And your best chances with Kirk Cousins. Like Savage said, their schedule will be easier towards the end. They'll maybe be able to get to 7-8 wins, best case scenario. That's really the best case scenario for this team. And you know, Kirk Cousins will keep them in the hunt, and they'll sell tickets. And now for the Jets. I think we need to take a step back and really be honest with ourselves. This team, even with Kirk Cousins, they will not win at all. Because as much as, you know, Kirk Cousins is playing well now, we all know when it's important how he's going to play. And when it counts, how he's going to play in the playoffs, in the big moment. You know, I don't think he's the guy to get that job done. And the Jets' offense line is still putrid, and he's gonna struggle behind that line too. So I think you play Wilson if you want to, or you switch to Simeon. I don't think it matters. I think the season's lost regardless. And you know, you get to pick in the first round in the next draft. And that's kind of where the decision comes, you know, whether you want to take another quarterback or you want to take an offensive lineman to help Rodgers. Or I think that would be more of what their decision will be, not whether they want a quarterback or not. I don't think they would or should go after a quarterback.
Yeah, and I think management's realized, right? So you bring in a Wentz, you bring in a Simeon, you bring in a Foles, let Wilson play. What's the pros and cons there, right? So what's our ceiling with those quarterbacks versus, you know, gut it out with Zach Wilson or a Simeon, very low level, right? Simeon versus Foles, you might actually win more games with Foles. So maybe this is a tactical move. Please the locker room by benching Wilson, but not win too many games with Simeon at the helm, right? So have better draft picks. I think still the strategy for them, if they're going this route, is take a quarterback next year. You need to get one of these elite guys that's coming out. Let them. They're
going to be They're going to be a top 4 or 5 draft pick. Team.
If Wilson's at the helm, they'll be a top 3 from the bottom, right? They'll be a top 3 for sure.
If Simeon's there, they're still top 10.
I think they're still top 5 because Simeon has not won a game in this league since 2017.
True.
This guy's not, the
to
next
your point,
either,
they
so
didn't take Nick Foles for a reason.
Yeah, I mean, they could have gotten, Carson Wentz
he wanted to. He wanted to go there.
We forget that Carson Wentz had that good year in Indianapolis. And I think it was that final game to Jacksonville where they kind of choked their season away. But he had a very low turnover year that year. And the Jets may be afraid. Who knows? Hey, Carson Wentz finds himself. We're here, picking. We're the New York Knicks of the NFL. We're right in that middle tier, not high enough to make a good pick, not good enough to win a playoff game. We're in that tier. So
them signing Trevor Simeon, them signing this guy as quarterback is their way of showing we're punting this season. We're looking towards next year. Yeah. We're gonna get a high draft pick. If they don't draft multiple offensive linemen this team does not care about Aaron Rodgers. There's no way around it. That man needs protection going into next year. And for God's sake, get some grass at MetLife Stadium. The Meadowlands should have meadow-level grass in it.
Yeah, and honestly, this team fighting on the sidelines and in the back, the defense is questioning why Zach Wilson is quarterback. These are all good things because it shows this team's young, but this team wants to win. They're hungry, right? And they knew that with Aaron Rodgers they had a chance, and his Achilles tear really ended it for them, and it's frustrating for them. And we all feel for them, but them being frustrated shouldn't be looked as a negative. It really should be a positive because we really see that they, hey, these guys want to win.
I will disagree on that point because I think that yes, from your perspective of this should be seen as a positive because these guys want to win. I agree. However, I think that the management basically punting the season discourages these guys, and that can get in their head. Psychology is like half of NFL. These guys are not trying. This was supposed to be a top 5 defense in the NFL. They look terrible. They don't even try. They don't care because they know the offense isn't going to win them games. Going into next year, they might not feel as motivated. They might not feel as sluggish. So, I don't think it's a good idea to punt this season away. I think it's a good thing that they're frustrated. I think it's a bad thing that management is doing nothing about that frustration except doing some sort of fake easing by signing quarterbacks that they know aren't in the league for a specific reason.
I mean, next year when Aaron Rodgers comes out the tunnel, you can't tell me they won't be motivated or they won't want to win. I think I don't know.
The motivating factor is Aaron Rodgers. I mean, you just saw it this year. Yeah. I've been a Jets fan all my life, and I've never seen the level of energy that I saw this offseason and that first game. You would think a common fan. My parents don't watch football on the regular, and they were like, "What is this? The Super Bowl?" I mean, that's the level of energy people felt. And his return will bring that. So I'm not worried about that. We've been going through this quarterback being the issue and losing the locker room stuff now since 2011. So it's okay. One more year is not a big deal for us. As long as Aaron Rodgers comes back, we're okay.
I agree. I know we're running a little late on time, so let's just kind of pivot real quick before we have to go. I think we got about 10 minutes before we end this. So I think that we should have this conversation just because this happened yesterday. Changing sport tractions. I mean, let's agree Thursday Night Football, this game's over, so let's just talk about something else. The NBA is starting in a few weeks. And right before they start, this major trade happened that just changed the whole landscape of how we're going to be viewing the NBA. Damian Lillard is now on the Milwaukee Bucks 2 days after Milwaukee offered Giannis a 3-year, $186 million extension, and he did not sign. So he was real. Hey, I'm not going to sign with you guys until you get me some weapons. And look at that. Drew Holiday's out. Damian Lillard is in, and the Suns, who already have Kevin Durant, Devin Booker, and Bradley Beal, just decided to switch it up a little bit, got rid of Ayton and his antics to the Blazers, who I guess wanted him for some reason, and now have Nurkic on their team, as well as Grayson Allen from the Bucks. So they got their depth. They look good. They got 4 stars. Damian Lillard and, Giannis could give you some sort of, hey, this is the best pairing you can think of. This team should be going to the NBA Finals, but they lost defense, Drew Holiday's side. So Pusha P, Suplex, Savage, give me your thoughts. What do you guys think about this?
I think we're going to the chip, baby. I think Damian Lillard was the last piece
Knicks
of the puzzle that
chip?
they really needed.
What?
No.
You said we, so I thought, As a resident,
good point. I know you probably automatically assumed.
Where's your
I was talking
I
about
always
the Knicks.
gotta poke the Knicks fans to not jump too high,
Yeah, of course. Us delusional.
Gotta
Knicks
bring
fans,
you back down
always
to
making
earth.
it about us, right? Yeah, that's fair enough. But no, I think for sure, Dame is definitely gonna complete the team for sure. Giannis may not have the best 3-pointer, but now Dame could definitely carry the load in that regard. What do you think?
I agree with you, Pushin P. I think Damian Lillard elevates this team to a championship team. Automatic favorites in the East. We've seen Jimmy Butler go to the finals. What is it? 2 of the last 3 years. This team will possibly sweep that Miami Heat team going forward. Anybody that believes in the Boston Celtics needs to be reevaluated. That team does not work the way it's settled. Jason Tatum is possibly the most unclutch player of all time.
Zingas Dingus is on that team.
Another guy who doesn't play defense. So, and then, that fraud defensive player of the year has left Boston, but I don't think they've replaced the real issue on that team. They don't have a point guard to manage the Tatum Brown chemistry dynamic, whatever you want to call it. One guy takes the ball and just plays one-on-one. So I think in terms of the contenders of the East, the Bucks are far and away the class now, and they will go to the finals, possibly to face off against the Suns or the Nuggets. I still think the Lakers got a shot there, but far and away the Bucks will go to the championship and most likely win it. And we're not even counting all these ring chasers that end up on good teams, right? So there may be some depth coming their way.
Absolutely. I mean, listen, they only really lost. They really only lost Grayson Allen and Drew Holiday, and I think yes, they lost two big components on defense. But if you have Giannis, as your anchor on defense, I don't think it matters as much. Especially if you have somebody like Dame Dalla, hitting threes from afar. Somebody said, I think Nick Wright said yesterday, there's only one person in the whole NBA that would be a better compliment, and that's Stephen Curry. And obviously Curry was never going to leave the Warriors, but Damian Lillard is the second best as it gets as a compliment. And I'm not going to lie, as a diehard LeBron fan, when I was watching them in Miami, I was never actually worried about a team in the East beating them. And this is the same energy I feel from this trade. Like, this Bucks team is like, bro, they might go 6-7 games against some team, and even in the last minutes of a game 7, I won't be worried. Like, this team is destined, if they're healthy, to go to the finals and then probably get their ass handed to them by either the Nuggets or the Suns. But that's my take. I'm a Lakers fan, and I'm a LeBron fan, and I don't think that the Lakers have enough to beat the Nuggets, because you just got swept by the Nuggets and you're running it back. You didn't even add anything. So that's another conversation.
Okay, all right. This is of course LeBron fan was going to make it about LeBron.
Thank you for the understanding that.
This guy we're never going to be able to get through one basketball.
Absolutely not. I will make everything about LeBron. LeBron is the GOAT.
Jesus Christ, man. This was not about the Lakers. Anyways, back to the topic. The Bucks, I think, are, as they should be. They're the favorite in Vegas. They should be the favorite to win the title. I think Giannis finally has not only another All-Star, he has another top NBA 75 player of all time playing with him. LeBron had Wade, Kobe had Shaq,
Jordan had Pippen.
Don't
forget that.
Yeah, no, I was about to relax. All right, relax. Jeez.
Relax.
Relax. So yeah, I think this might be the best duo in the league now. I think they complement each other really well. There's going to be growing pains in the beginning, of course. So we'll see how quickly they can figure it out. But I don't see anyone in the East for sure contending with them. And in the finals, either Denver or the Suns or even the Lakers, it'd be a good finals, but I would take the Bucks over all of them.
I mean, I don't even think Denver has a chance. How on earth is Jokic stopping Giannis, this 7 feet buck, running down the floor at 20 miles per hour and jumping from the free throw line? Who's going to guard him?
Yeah, I agree with that, Bushby. And my kind of rationale behind that is it's hard to repeat in this day and age. How many, aside from the Warriors, who have been stacking up their teams, right? How many teams have gone back-to-back in recent years? Off the top of my head, it's tough. Even the Bucks team that beat the Suns, they couldn't come back and go back to back. And I don't think it's the Nugget. There's a lot of injury concerns. Jamal Murray had a hell of a year. Wish him all the luck, but he has to replicate that again. And they
lost Bruce Brown,
the player that hasn't been shown to show good health over the years. I think the Suns are the biggest team that's going to give him fits. And if they end up getting a point guard, because they're a point guard away, if they end up getting Drew Holiday, then kiss it goodbye. This Dame Dolla is going to be searching for his ring still. But until that happens, I think the Bucks will go to the finals. And just the small name to throw out there. They lost Grayson Allen, but there's another sharpshooter that they have. And just because I love watching college basketball, keep your name on AJ Green. He's going to be the new Grayson Allen. Season before that, I remember they had another white boy shooting from the corner spot on the 3-point line. But AJ Green will be that guy. He is a sharp shooting 3-pointer. He came on late during the season. When the season was kind of when they've clinched playoffs. So watch out. They'll restock. They usually do restock with those role players.
Agreed. I mean, like you said, there is no shortage in the NBA of ring chasers and veterans who all can do is stand in the corner and shoot a three. So, I don't think there will be a problem with them finding that. And to your point, Savage, and I know Suplex brought this up before as well. The Suns are 1 point guard away from being legitimate title. I guess they're already title contenders, but to be the runaway favorites to win the whole thing. I'm of the belief that I think they still can as long as they're healthy. This reminds me a lot of the 2021 Brooklyn Nets. I think that if all three, James Harden, Kyrie Irving, and Kevin Durant, were healthy, I think they would have easily won the championship that year. So I think that if Devin Booker, Bradley Beal, and Kevin Durant can stay healthy, it's not that hard to pass to one another. But in crunch time, as long as they all understand that the de facto shooter is Kevin Durant, I think they'll have a legitimate shot to win.
I don't agree because without a playmaker, they're just going to be running ISO every possession. And we saw in Brooklyn when KD and Kyrie tried it didn't work, right? If you don't have a playmaker with James Harden, it would have worked because James Harden
he could facilitate,
passes the ball really well. He could facilitate, get the offense going, and struggles. And in Phoenix, I don't really see it right now. They don't have that. And I think that's the most underrated part of basketball that I think most people don't think about is who's your guy that's gonna create when you're in a struggle, when the other team's on a 10-0 run and you haven't scored in 4 minutes and things are looking ugly. Who's the guy that's gonna create and make a play for this team? Maybe you stack up enough ISO guys, someone's got to score, right? But against the better teams,
I know this will
out.
Never happen, but if some reason, you're going to hate me for saying this, but if for some reason LeBron James gets the cash out of his contract and signs with the Phoenix Suns, they have their playmaker, and these guys are going to win multiple championships together, but I know it's not going to happen, but a man can dream. So yeah, just going to put that out there.
Right. Special shout out to Tank for absolutely murdering the conversation. So we're going to move on really quickly before we head out for the night. We're going to do rapid week 4 predictions, picks, fantasy stardoms, and situms. Brought to you by yours truly, Savage and Tank. All right, I'm going to start. Savage, you can start it off.
Yeah, so
with your stardoms of the week.
Yeah, so this week we got 2 stardoms, pretty good matchups. We're going to go with Kenneth Walker, stardom, and don't even think about it. The Giants have been giving up yardage to running backs and scores. I mean, Tony Pollard in week 1, even though he didn't need to do much. The defense, I think he still had upwards of 60 yards and a score.
Yep.
James Conner absolutely dominated them. And we saw what Christian McCaffrey did last week. And then the second one, I love the play for Terry McLaurin. This Eagles defense gives up a lot of yards to wide receivers. You saw what Mike Evans and Chris Godwin did last week. The week before, even week 1, Kendrick Bourne scored 2 touchdowns on them. Their secondary is not great. So
and
I love Terry McLaurin, division game, and I think he dominates.
Let me tell you, Savage, I think you would love to start him next week as well because this ad just showed up. Next week, prime time, Thursday Night Football is going to be Bears versus Commanders. So let's see how entertained everybody is watching that game as you start Terry McLaurin against the Commanders.
The game of the century.
I absolutely have no plans.
Oh my God, Suplex! Let's get your stardoms first. We'll do situms at the end.
So my first stardom of the week. I know he's been pretty. Last week he had a touchdown, but the first 2 weeks he's been very lackluster. DJ Moore, I think he's a must start this week against the Denver defense that just gave up 70 points to Miami. I mean, no further explanation needed. Justin Fields and DJ Moore got to figure it out, and this is the week to do it against at home against Denver, and
they're probably not going to figure it out.
That's the time to do it. And then my second stardom of the week is Adam Thielen. On the road. No, sorry, they're at home against Minnesota, but a revenge game against a really, really, really bad Vikings
And Andy
defense.
Dalton loves Adam
And
Thielen.
Especially if Andy Dalton is playing, you absolutely have to start Adam Thielen this week.
All right, well, my stardoms, I'm going to keep it a little light here, but if you are one of those lucky people who started or picked up at any point of the season or drafted Quentin Johnston, this is your time to shine. Start him. Mike Williams done for the season. Keenan Allen, 30-year-old, one hamstring away from being out a few weeks. I will even go as far to say if Keenan Allen plays every single game of this season, I will buy everybody on this podcast, Savage, Suplex, and Push and P, a bottle of tequila. I will buy you all a bottle each if Keenan Allen actually plays all 17 games this season. I am that sure. Unless obviously they rested the last one because they made the playoffs, that won't count. But with injury, he will miss with that hamstring at least one game. And Quentin Johnston, listen, Josh Palmer is not that guy. Quentin Johnston, they drafted him high for a reason. That guy, start him this week. You'll be surprised as to what he's going to do. He's going to be that wide out that Mike Williams was catching those 50-50 balls. And Justin Herbert loves catching those. My second stardom is going to be Javonte Williams. I think the Broncos, if there is ever a chance for those boys to actually put up points and go up big and run the ball, it's this week. If they don't do it this week, just drop every Broncos player you have. But this is the week to start Javonte Williams. All
right, Savage, go ahead with your
sit-ems of the week.
My sit-ems of the week, we're going to start first with Rachaad White. Tampa Bay is going against the Saints. The Saints look like a really good run defense this year, and also Tampa just can never beat the Saints. And Rachaad White, looks like he's running in quicksand, so I don't think he's anything special. So just set him this week. And then the second one hurts because I drafted this guy really high, but it's time to sit Garrett Wilson. No quarterback. Yeah. That's it. That's all I gotta say. I save yourself.
I just want to put
him, and you could literally. Yeah.
I just want to put it out there.
For the waivers and start.
I just want to put it out there that I drafted Nick Chubb and then Garrett Wilson on the turnaround, so my life sucks. But continue, Suplex, with your sit-ups.
Yeah. So just. Go ahead.
I'm going with Kadarius Toney. I mean, if you're starting him in the first place, God bless you. But. The Chiefs just spread the ball. You never know each week who's going to go off. And against a stingy Jets defense, I think I would avoid Toney this week. And second would be Brian Robinson against a really, really, really tough Eagles front. Just not a matchup I really like because, as Savage has said before, teams like to throw the ball in Philadelphia. So Brian Robinson would be on my bench this week.
Yeah, that makes sense. I'll just finish it off real quick. Sit Breece Hall. To Savage's point, if you have a Jets player, I feel sorry for you at this point. If you have the Jets defense and you were like me who drafted them high, just drop them. They're going to have a terrible season. But Breece Hall, everybody knows what their go-to play is in New York Jets, which is just keep running the ball. And they obviously won't be able to establish that. The Chiefs defense is underrated. Sit Breece Hall. And the other team to sit, this is just a whole roster there, but the Bills defense, Miami's going to put up points against these boys. Especially if Josh Allen turns the ball over, they're going to be out there way longer than they want to be, and they're going to get tired. So sit the Bills defense if you have them. If you have the Jets defense, just drop them. Don't even think about stashing them anywhere. Just drop them. Their schedule's terrible, but sit the Bills defense.
Yeah. All right, we're going to do one of our last few segments. we're gonna do our week 4 predictions. We're just gonna go really quick. Nah, not really much explanations. So I think this game is pretty much
Yeah,
over.
Lions, everybody knows. Continue.
20.
Just start listing teams that are playing against each other.
Yeah.
List the home team first and the away team, and Savage and I will just tell you our picks.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So first game on Sunday, we got Atlanta at Jacksonville.
I think if Jacksonville doesn't win, it's a problem, but Jacksonville.
Yeah, I got the
Savage.
Jaguars.
I got the Jaguars as well, winning in London, and a must-win for themselves. Miami at Buffalo.
Miami. I think Miami shows them that they are the best team in the AFC.
Yeah, statement game. I think the Dolphins win.
I'm actually gonna go with the Buffalo Bills. I do think Miami is the better team, but I think the game being in Buffalo gives the Bills the advantage, and I see the Bills winning and extending it to 10 out of 11 against the Dolphins. Denver at Chicago, game of the century.
The final score will be 10-6, and I think Denver wins.
I'm gonna go with the Bears.
Oh God.
The Bears.
And Sean Payton gets
Alright.
fired.
And Russell Wilson gets traded.
Oh man, bold prediction of the week. Yeah, I'm gonna go with the home team. I think Denver is really bad, and it's gonna show this week against Chicago, who had a really tough schedule the first 3 weeks. But moving on, Baltimore at Cleveland, big divisional game.
I think this is the Brown statement game. You know, Savage said they're a top 3-4 team. I think this is it. I think if they want to be, Browns.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with the Browns. I haven't seen any improvement from Lamar Jackson as a passer, so
It actually
I'm gonna go with the
regressed.
Browns.
It actually regressed. So
Yeah, I agree. It's been pretty bad. Yeah, so Browns.
I'm actually going with the Ravens. I think it's a bounce back week for them after last week. I think they'll be able to at least run the ball because they're not going to be able to throw the ball on Cleveland. So Baltimore wins in Cleveland. Cincinnati at Tennessee.
Cincinnati, if you pick Tennessee, you're delusional.
Bengals.
Bengals as well. Moving on. Rams at Colts.
I think if his offensive line isn't healthy, which it isn't, Colts. I think the Rams have an offensive line issue right now.
I'm gonna put my pick with an asterisk. If Minshew plays, I'm taking the Colts. But it looks like Richardson's on track to play, so if it's Richardson, I'm gonna take the Rams.
I'm going Rams either way. I think Stafford bounces back this week. Tampa Bay at New Orleans.
I'm going with New Orleans. Better defense. Jameis Winston is going to air that ball out, baby.
And no Derek Carr confirmed?
I don't think he's going to play, yeah.
I'm not sure
It's
if
not
it's
confirmed,
confirmed,
but I think it's
Yeah,
headed to.
I think. Yeah, let's go Saints.
Jameis Winston revenge game, but I got Baker Mayfield in this one. Tampa wins. Washington at Philadelphia.
If you choose Washington, you're delusional, and you're from D.C., Philly.
Eagles in a close one. This is not going to be an easy game. Divisional game.
I'm taking the Eagles as well, but if we were picking spread, I probably would have went the other
I
way.
would have
But
gone Eagles on the
at
spread
home.
anyway. Let's go.
Oof. No.
Minnesota at Carolina. Battle of
I
the
hope
Winners.
it's Carolina, but I think it's going to be Minnesota. I think this is the one they win.
Yeah, Vikings for me.
Wait, sure, real quick. That's a 1 p.m. game?
That is a
1 p.m.
game,
Kirk
yes.
Cousins. I'll take him any day.
Yeah, I'm going with the Vikings, so not even a question. All right, Pittsburgh at Houston.
I think this is going to be the first time C.J. Stroud is playing a top 5 defense in the league. I'm going Pittsburgh.
Yeah, I think the Steelers will win this one too.
Yeah, I think Houston comes crashing down from last
Yep.
week. Pittsburgh will win. All right, moving on to the 4 o'clock slate. We got the Raiders at the Chargers.
I think Chargers. I think the Raiders are just hot garbage. I'm going to go with Chargers.
Yeah, Chargers here too. I think the Raiders are in disarray after that questionable going for the field goal. They look like they're about to
Extremely
implode right now, so I think Chargers.
This is the implosion game.
Yeah, Chargers will win big. I don't think it's going to be close. All right, New England at Dallas.
I'm going to go with Dallas. I don't think Mac Jones has it in him to beat this Dallas defense at home.
Yeah, if I'm taking the spread, I take the Patriots spread. But in terms of just winning the game, it's the Cowboys. I don't think the Patriots have any semblance of an offense.
Yeah, I think the Cowboys bounce back.
Let's go, Dak.
Okay. Arizona at San Francisco.
Hey, man, Josh Dobbs looked good against the top 5 defense, but the Niners are going to blow him out. This is a legitimate team that they're going to play against.
Agree. That's the Niners game.
Yeah, Niners, no debate. All right. Now, this
one hurts.
A very important game. This is a very important game to us. We bought tickets about 3 months ago. We thought we were going to get to see Aaron Rodgers with Patrick Mahomes. Unfortunately, that is not the situation. Now, we will get to see Taylor Swift. So I guess,
Chiefs with the spread, whatever, they're going to blow them out. It's going to be a 40-point game, especially because Taylor Swift is there. Travis Kelce is going to have like 5 touchdowns. This game's going to be over before it starts. Chiefs.
Yeah. Savage, go ahead.
Chiefs. There's no question.
Luckily, hopefully we're not sober for this one.
Yeah, I think Chiefs win big. At some point, we're going to have to start figuring out what to root for. Because it's not going to be the Jets. It's not going to be Zach Wilson. So, last game on the slate, Monday Night Football. We got the Seattle Seahawks traveling to the Meadowlands to play the Giants.
I am going to take the Giants on this one. I think if the Giants want to win, this is the kind of team they could beat. It's going to be close, but I'm going to go with the Big Blue.
I'm going to go the Seahawks. I like their offense. I like how they're playing. They have a couple of stingy cornerbacks there as well that are going to make life tough whenever the Giants decide to throw. I think the Seahawks. Usually I call them the Sea Chickens, but they've looked good this year.
All right, I've been a Giants fan my whole life, but I do not let that blind my prediction for this week. I'm going with the Seahawks. That offense will score big on the Giants defense, and they'll leave New Jersey with the victory.
And also, it's also in prime time, So he's 1-11. 1-11.
1-11. 1-11. Yeah, 1-11. Man, that's brutal. All right. This is our weekly thing because Savage is our betting guy. So Savage, your play of the week before we head out.
My play of the week.
Lock it up.
My lock it up is the Bengals -2.5. I think they are gonna absolutely blow the doors off the Tennessee Titans, who look like a bottom 5 team, and it's crazy to say because Vrabel is a great coach, but they look dead. They have nothing. They have no defense. They have no line. They have no quarterback. Derrick Henry looks done. And I think the Bengals understood that this is it. This was their season on Monday. They're in a rhythm. The offense actually looked good second half. I think they're going to win by a touchdown. So if you feel, a little extra juice, I think maybe even teasing it up to like a -6.5 to win by a touchdown to get some real plus money, but -2.5 is just a joke of a line, I think, and that's the lock it up. So we're gonna try to go 2-0 on the season. Last week we had the Patriots, which cashed, and now we're gonna try to cash the Bengals.
And real quick, is there any team on a bye week yet or no? That's next week. Okay.
Yeah, I think starting next week.
Yep. Okay. All right. Well, this was cool, guys. Let's see how many of these actually pan out and who's right and who's not.
Well, thank you everyone for tuning in to our first episode of The Drop Room. We appreciate you if you listen to the whole thing, but before we say goodbye, if you're listening on YouTube, please go ahead and drop a like, comment, subscribe, and share this podcast with your friends and family. Go ahead and check out our Twitter and TikTok. Our handle is @TheRealDropRoom. And to read our articles on the NBA, the NFL, MLB, and much more, check out our website, thedroproom.net. With that being said, we'll see you guys in the next episode.